So welcome to the channel, my first ever video and my first proper build where I'm going to turn in this wood that you see in front of you into this chair, which is a Toddlers chair I'm making for my grandson Freddie. So I measure out this length of wood here and it's just over 2400 mils, and that's going to be the legs. And then we've got this pine board which is 850 mil in length and 500 mil width. And that is going to be the seat support, the backrests and the seat itself. So I'm going to chop down the legs on the miter saw and then get the table saw out, set it up, make sure the blade is to 90 degrees and cut the backrests, the seat supports and the seat itself out on that. So then the rear legs are 740 mils, front legs 380 mils and the slats are 280 mils. Then I move on to putting a round over on all the legs and the seat and back supports or slats. I don't really know what you call them, but that's what I'll call them. And once I've done that, I'll get the orbital sander out and do 120 grit sanding on all the legs and slats. And it's on the pocket holes, so pocket holes in the ends of all of them, and then 4 of them get pocket holes to attach the seat to as well. You'll see what I mean in a minute, and I do make a mistake. So here's the mistake. I should have only done it in 4, but I've done it in 5. So I redo that later on. So then I apply glue to both sides. And as you can see, the screws are already in place, and I've got a spacer board which is the same size as these supports or slats, and then I get the bigger clamp I've got and clamp it together so it doesn't move anywhere when I drive in the screws. And then I repeat the process on the opposite side. Same again, glue both sides, making sure them other pocket holes are facing up that are going to attach to the seat. I then repeat that process to get the whole frame together, as you can see here. I then put the seat on, which I cut out earlier, and then I'm measuring these little notches and just scribing the lines in place. It's probably a better and easier way to do it than what I have done, but like I said, I am learning. So I then put it in my vise and I just cut them out by hand. The fit is a bit too snug, as you can see, so I get it on the sander and just sand it down a bit so that it does fit. And now it fits. I would just like to take this opportunity to apologise for this looking like I've shot it on a potato. The lighting is rubbish in that shed at this time. It's all solar, which isn't the best idea in the northeast of England, as you can see. But I've since fixed that. So put the back supports in. Again, I just glued the ends and screwing them in place. I've used 2 smaller clamps to hold it at the right height and the bigger clamp to make sure it's not going to go anywhere as I put the screws in. And then go to the computer and print off a few different size fonts of Freddie's name. And then I've got a piece the same size as a back support, but this is going to be a practice bit because I have never done this before, so I thought I'd best give it a practice before I did the proper thing. So yeah, gluing the template down, and then I'm going to use that to guide me as I route the name out. So I've changed the bit for a smaller bit, so I was using a 1/4 inch size straight cut bit and I've switched it for a 1/8 size, which turns out to be a lot better, a lot tidier, as you can see from here. So that's what I go with on the final attempt. And I also changed the way that I transfer the template. I didn't like the sticking down of the paper, because as I was routing, the paper would fluff up and I couldn't really see it. So good old fashioned way, scribble on the back, put it down, go over it, and as you can see it transfers faintly, and then I just go over the top with a pencil, and then that's my template that I'm going to follow when I route it out. So that's turned out quite well, I think. The centre bit of the R and the D did detach, but I did find them, or similar little bits that fitted quite well. So just put a bit of wood glue on and then stuck them in place. Started trying to do that with my fat sausage fingers, but I kept getting in the way. I couldn't get the dots where I wanted them, so I switched to using a pencil, and that worked out a lot better. I could get them exactly where I wanted them. And then I glued in some plugs to hide the screws on the back of the chair, and then I sanded them down with 120 grit so that they were nice and flush. I then sanded the whole thing down with 240 grit, and then that is the finished article. I just left it as is. I'm not going to put any finish on it. I'll leave that up to these parents. They can paint it, varnish it, whatever they want to do. Now, I did make a couple of mistakes. One here with the router, slight blemish, and then when I was sanding this down to fit, over sanded there a little bit, but I could redo that in the future. But that is the finished article, and for my first build I'm quite proud of it. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.